Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Good evening. If you're out there on the East Coast like a normal person, I'm not a normal person. West Coaster here. Let's do it. The MLB Live Before Lock show presented by OddsShopper. I'm Eric Lindquist, ready to talk through this 10-gamer. It's going to be completely different. I have all new takes compared to this morning. No, I don't. But I do have a different co-partner. And you know what? I like Terry so much. But Neil Orfield from Minnesota, he's a man after my own heart, maker of craft beers, I'm sure, in his basement with that lovely beard that he has going. Something like that. Go follow him at PlayerQDFS on the Twitters. How you doing, my dude?
I'm doing well. Yeah, there are a lot of good things you can say about Terry, but one thing you can't say is that he's from Minnesota. Whereas I am from Minnesota. I have never made my own beer. I have done it with friends before. I lived in a house with some brewers, back in my post-college days. But I have yet to try it myself. Maybe one day in the future.
Like Christian Yelich, but brewers.
Oh, yeah. That took me a second. Thanks for explaining the joke.
All right. If you don't want me to make any more EMAC-like dad jokes here throughout the entire show, which I'm sure you don't, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Just do it right off the bat. Get this party started. It's getting started in here, just like the Black Eyed Peas said. My guy, anything you want to say about this slate before we get into it here? Second version, a little bit different than this morning. Couple of new lineups, couple of really interesting spots throughout this slate on both sides.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of great pitching on this slate. We have Garrett Cole going up against the Orioles, and then not a lot of confidence in any of the other pitching spots on this slate, which means that we will have a lot of pretty good stacks that a lot of stacks that I have some interest in here. So it'll be kind of a spread out slate, I guess all around for the most part. I think I might jam in some Garrett Cole, but other than that, yeah, I'm going to be spreading it out my stacks. I'm going to be spreading out my pitchers. I'm looking up the weather right now. I had not looked up whether there's any weather issues to talk about. Looks like Dodgers at Washington, the only slight issue, but I'm not. I'm probably
looks pretty clean
unless they postpone it. It's probably going to be safe. So yeah, no major weather concerns.
Yeah, as it stands right now, I mean, there's a chance later on where it could get interesting, but I don't have a ton of pitcher interest from either one. Tyler Anderson to Don, neither are really going to be an issue. Looks like it could be midway through that game, but as it stands right now, I don't see any weather issues. Some interesting other things to talk about, that's for sure. But going to be a fun, clean game of 10 game slate here of MLB DFS. So looking forward to it here. Let's see. Oh, it's too bad to be. Eric explains every joke. It's cringy. Well, hell yeah, I do, because here's the thing. There's like a 10-second gap between what you said and then the joke. So my brain goes, oh, I have a joke and I want to say it, but I want to also be respectful and listen to you do the rest. So then I say the joke because otherwise it's like, wait, where did that go? Oh, Eric's a child.
I thought it was good. No, I mean, I clearly was not getting the joke. So you saved me a little bit of.
I saw it in your eyes.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I see it in your eyes. All right, let's do it. Let's start right from the top. First game on the board, the aforementioned Los Angeles Dodgers, 5.4 implied runs going with the Washington Nationals, 3.6 on that end. Tyler Anderson, Joanna Don. I mean, we're not playing pitchers here, right?
So Tyler Anderson is low owned according to the top
Mr. Anderson.
So you can say that about Tyler Anderson. He's 9,400. So that's a lot to pay for Tyler Anderson. Coming in at 0.5% owned though, 9.1% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 3.3% chance of being a top 2 value. I don't think I'm going to be playing a ton of Tyler Anderson, but I think that those are the best things you can say about him is that he is under-owned according to the top pitchers. So yeah, I'm getting to virtually zero Tyler Anderson. So it looks like currently I am with you. I'm not going to be getting to a lot there. And I don't really see a lot of reason to go there. I mean, Washington's a pretty tough opponent. 23.3% strikeout rate, I guess, you like that. That's not, it's not a bad strikeout rate, but for 9,400, it's just not, you can do better, I think. So I'm not going to be getting to a ton of Tyler Anderson, but if you want to play him, you have 9,400 left over. I think that there is at least a little bit of merit to it.
I thought about it this morning. I was like, oh, there's positive leverage. Look at this. This is going to be a Neil Orfield special. But then you look at the weather. If there's any kind of mid-game concern, I just feel like you just write him off the board. There's really no use in me going up against Washington here with Tyler Anderson and his K percentage. There's so many guys cheaper that I think have more upside. And then not only that, there's just guys that are cheaper who could do the exact same thing as him, which is just kind of survive a game, put up 15 and put you in a spot where if other guys that have more K upside around them fail, you're in a good spot. 23.3%. It's not like nothing for Tyler Anderson. He's just so good at limiting hard contact. And I don't have a lot of Washington interest, but hard for me to land on Anderson or Adon here. The real thing that we want to talk about, this Dodgers offense, and specifically the guy I want to talk about, is Edwin Rios. Anybody who let Edwin Rios yesterday, min salary bomb over on FanDuel.com. He remains super cheap on DraftKings. Batting cleanup for these Dodgers, and anytime he's facing a righty, the guy just mashes. And yes, there's pinch hit concern later on in spots, but it seems like they're just giving him a long leash. Back-to-back homers last two. We're talking a 935 OPS now on the season, 640 expected slugging. That is tops on the Dodgers right now. Holy mother of God, I have a lot of Edwin Rios. What else sticks out to you from this Dodgers lineup that I feel like you can stack 1 through 9?
Yeah, Edwin Rios, 2,700 in the cleanup spot for this Dodgers offense. That's a pretty nice spot to be in. I am coming in a little bit under the field on Rios just because I'm spreading out my stacks, and I guess I'm not getting to a ton of him as a one-off. But yeah, I'm still getting to nearly 10% Edwin Rios. So I'm only under the field because the field is getting to 13.7%, which is kind of a lot on a 10-game slate with 20 first basemen that you can consider. Yeah, I'm actually getting over the field on Trey Turner right now, which I don't love to see that. I'm actually wondering how that's happening. It's showing that I'm getting 31% Trey Turner, which means that I'm getting more than I allow for him. So I screwed something up there. I'm going to have to go back and cut that back, but naturally I'm getting to a whole lot of Trey Turner, even above the field, even at 6,000. He just projects so well. He's one of the top projected bats on the slate. Right behind him, Freddie Freeman is also, they're both projected for 10.3 fantasy points, which is near the top of the board. So I'm getting to plenty of all of the, I guess that's why I'm not getting to a ton of Edwin Rios, because he's first base only. Freddie Freeman is also first base only. So in my Dodgers stacks, I'm naturally getting more Freddie Freeman, which I think that makes sense. Will Smith, obviously, in the 5 spot. Anytime you can get a catcher that projects for 9 fantasy points, he's in the 5 spot. You'll take that, and he's in probably the best stacking spot on the slate. The stack overall looks fairly neutral in the top stacks tool. We have them coming in at 14.8% owned, and they're 14.8% chance to be in the top stack. So as neutral as you can get as far as those numbers go. They do only have a 2.8% chance of being the top value stack on the board, but typically I don't care about the top value stack as far as it being a negative as much as it being a positive. So when it comes to these stacks that have high odds of being the top stack on the slate, but they're expensive, they're going to have a low percentage chance of being the top value stack on the slate. I care more about their odds of being the top stack. The number of points you'd have to put up for the Dodgers to be the top value stack on a day like today, given their prices, would be astronomical. So they're never going to have a high odds of being the top value, but the fact that they're top stack odds just in a vacuum are even with their ownership means that I'm going to be playing them close to their ownership. I'm still probably going to be undercutting the field slightly just because they're coming in at 14.8% owned on a 20 game slate where there are a lot of other stacks that I really like. But I'm not going to go, I'm not going to go crazy cutting down my Dodger stacks. I'm still going to have plenty.
Yeah. Looks like in chat. Eric is dat boy. Thanks, John Wick. Eric is one of the hardest working people at Awesemo. Put that on my gravestone. Larry C. Thank you, my guy. Andrew Jennison, just to be clear, I love Eric. I wasn't bashing, just noticing. Yes, I'm on a lot of shows. Yes, good to be here. I missed you all. Hit the like button just because, yes, I will continue to be here. I ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere because we're bad boys for life. Something like that?
Yeah.
No?
Not going
all
anywhere.
Of that in a bag of potato chips. Okay, we're going to continue on. Washington side, Ruiz got moved up to the 2-hole because Josh Bell, worse in his splits in terms of power. Just he's been bad this year altogether. Birds of a feather now. But I'm going to get to some Soto, even at left on left, just because, it's 1%, 2%. You don't have to do much to get there, to get a little bit over. But I just don't like this spot whatsoever for this team. I'm still going to take shots on Nelson Cruz, too, because I'm a sicko and I still believe. I'm sure you still believe. Are we rostering any Nelson Cruz today, too?
Yeah, so in the crunch that I've run so far, I'm only getting 1% Nelson Cruz. I'm getting 0.6% Juan Soto. I feel like I'm going to have to force that up. I'm not getting into a lot of Washington bats organically, but they're just such a dangerous stack at the top, especially Soto, Cruz, Bell. I just feel like they're so dangerous that I'd like to take some shots here, especially when the field is not getting to them at all. Soto and Cruz both coming in under 3% owned. Josh Bell under 1% owned. So they're just not owned at all, which makes me interested in the Washington stack in a large field tournament. In a smaller field or in cash, I'm probably not playing any of these guys, but in a large field tournament, I do think that I'm going to want to be coming over the field on these stacks. And I'll just look at the top stacks tool to confirm my suspicion that they're coming in under owned. Yeah.
Oh no! Don't have a take of your own, Neil. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I mean, I have my own takes, but then I want to check the tools also. They're coming in at 2.4% owned.
I was kidding.
With a 2.8% chance of being the top stack on the board. So only slight positive leverage on Washington stacks, but enough that I have some interest there. I just think they're good enough bats to be that low owned. I'd rather come in a little bit higher.
No, I love the tools, and I'm trusting them very much with Oakland today. But we'll get to that one here in a long while. Oh, my Lord, I'm a sick person. Yes, I am a sicko. Awesome, yo. Go Oakland today. Yay. Baltimore Orioles, 2.5 implied runs going up against the New York bad people. 5.0 implied run for the bad people. Jordan Lyles, 20.1% K percentage. I don't really know what to even say other than his name is Jordan Lyles. We shouldn't be rostering him.
Yeah, I can't imagine I'm going to be playing a lot. So the positive that I can say about Jordan Lyles is that he's 5,800. He's coming in at 2.9% owned. He has a 20.5% chance of being one of the top 2 value pitchers on the slate and a 7.2% chance of being one of the top be one of the top 2 pitchers on the slate. So those numbers actually do look really good. He has a 20.1 strikeout rate, which is not bad for a pitcher at 5,800. So there are some reasons to go to Jordan Lyles. I don't know that I'm going to be getting there. Just looking at my crunch, I don't think I'm getting to a ton organically, and I'm not going to force him in there, even with those numbers. I'm getting 4% right now. If I come in at 4% Jordan Lyles, I'm totally fine with that number. If that's just based on his projection, that's what Fantasy Cruncher gives me. But he's not a pitcher that I see a lot of, that I feel very comfortable rostering against the Yankees. I guess the upside is there. If he has a 7% chance of being one of the top 2 pitchers on the slate, he's only 5,800 with a 20% strikeout rate. I guess you can see the strikeout there. It is a dangerous spot though against the Yankees. So I'm not going to be going overboard, but if Fantasy Cruncher gives me a little bit above the field, yeah, I'll take it. 0.7% owned. That's not much at all. Wait, I'm reading the wrong.
Yeah, no, he's higher owned. He's like 3.7, I think was his last. Yep, 3.7. He's got a 17.4% top 2 value here on DK at the moment. It's kind of whatever. It said this morning he's 5,800. Marco Gonzalez is crazy popular. It's come down a little bit. He was 52% this morning. He's down to 39.8%. I can at least like breathe and maybe have shares of him now, but I'm not going to roster Marco Gonzalez over 20%. I can throw that out there, put that on my gravestone, and that means 500 more to get to a guy like Jordan Lyles. There is K upside to be had. Obviously, you have no Josh Donaldson. He hasn't been good this year, but he got rightfully suspended a game. So there you go. We're looking at Kiner Falefa, Hicks, Florial is in the lineup here today as well. Another 2K option. We have a number of 2K options on today's slate that I think are viable. Trevino, Marwin, those guys on the bottom end are just not good at batting. Trevino, though, only a 12.9% K percentage. I expected it to be higher, but all in all, 1 through 4, you get by that, you got a pretty clear shot of having a decent outing. I'm going to get to a little bit of Jordan Lyles, but can't imagine it's anything worth noting.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be getting up to 10% Jordan Lyles. I actually want to re-crunch now because I think what I am going to end up doing is allowing myself, I'll set a cap at maybe 30% or 40%, and then allow myself to get a little bit above the field, or not above the field, above that number on Garrett Cole, maybe get up to 50% Garrett Cole, and then cut down Marco Gonzalez. So I kind of want to see if I will naturally get Jordan Lyles when I do that, because if I do, honestly, I don't mind it. Like, just looking at those numbers, the 20% strikeout rate against this Yankees lineup, I mean, it's obviously very scary at the top, but at the bottom, it's not as scary. So I can see some reason to get there, even though, it's obviously you don't love attacking the Yankees anywhere.
All right. Well, on the other side of this one, Garrett Cole is the more pressing pitching option that we need to be talking about. I kind of will give the floor to you, because I know that this is kind of one of those things where I have from time to time gone way over on certain pitchers in times when I think that they're just so clear cut on this slate. And I'm probably going to agree that Garrett Cole is pretty clear cut against Baltimore, but I'm probably not going to be doing what I normally do in this situation. What is your game plan for Garrett Cole on both DraftKings and FanDuel at his crazy ownership?
I'm going to be coming in a little bit under the field. I'm not going to be forcing myself to come well under the field, despite the fact that he looks pretty over-owned in the top pitchers tool, coming in at 55% owned with a 28.8% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 7.1% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. He is one of the second most negatively leveraged spot on the slate after Marco Gonzalez. So I think there's merit to cutting way back on Garrett Cole. I could see if you wanted to cap yourself at 30% on all pitchers and just leave it there. I think I'm going to give myself a little bit more leeway with Garrett Cole, because as we've talked about this a few times, but even if he has only a 28.8% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, and that's major negative leverage versus his ownership, he's still, if he gets above 20 fantasy points and isn't one of the top 2 pitchers because 2 cheaper pitchers go off, you're still probably going to want to have him. Obviously you'd rather have the other 2, but it's going to be hard to guess which of the other pitchers is going to get there, is going to have their crazy breakout game that they don't usually have. Whereas Garrett Cole, he has a much higher likelihood of getting 20 plus fantasy points than everybody else, even if he has a lower likelihood than the field of being one of the top 2 pitchers. So I'm not going to cut myself down to 30% Garrett Cole. I'll probably set my cap at around 50% and come in a little bit under the field, but still have plenty of Cole lineups. What do you think your approach is going to be?
I'm same as you. I'm going to be coming a little bit under. I find him impossible to say. I'm not going to have shares going up against a Baltimore offense. Against righties, they've been surprisingly better than I thought. 97 WRC plus from this morning, 22.3% K percentage, kind of run-of-the-mill numbers. not necessarily something you just go out of your way to pick on, but this is Garrett Cole. It's a righty here. You get Rutschman, who's going to be a switch hitting catcher 2K going forward in the middle of that lineup. We'll see if he ends up being the guy as one of the top prospects in baseball, number one prospect in the Orioles. And I actually believe he was number one across baseball for this season once everybody else like Witt Jr. and Torkelson and those guys got called up earlier on. But he has a chance to kind of surpass both of them if he comes out of the gate hot swinging. So we'll be on both sides of it. That's at least another lefty to finally get in that lineup here. So I'm looking at Baltimore being serviceable in terms of preventing strikeouts compared to what everybody else thinks for Cole. But Cole is the best. Like, if you're just talking about the best pitcher on the board, Garrett Cole is it in this spot against this team. But this is baseball, and I want to be a little bit under just because I think that there's paths to Zach Wheeler surpassing. I think there's paths to even looking at some other the mid 7s, mid 8K pitchers passing him. So I'm going to definitely have some, but I'm going to be under the field with you.
Yeah, sounds like we're taking a very similar approach. He has the highest floor, I would say, of any pitcher on the board and the highest ceiling of any pitcher on the board. But there's still plenty of scenarios where Garrett Cole puts up 10 fantasy points, just does not have his best outing and gets passed by the field, or even puts up, 18 fantasy points and several other pitchers are better. So yeah, I'm happy with around 50% Cole.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it how many times this season where, he just loses the feel for it. He has not exceeded 29 fantasy points on DK in his last 4 outings, which again, he's very consistent, all of those mid 20s, but for the most part, you can surpass some of that in some spots. Now, if you want to just jam Cole, have fun, but I'm with you where I think I would rather playing 150, get diversified there with some of the other guys, specifically a couple of really, really nasty plays, but we'll get there. Looking at Baltimore, I don't think there's anything to overthink there. I think if you want to play a 2K catcher, you got Rutschman, who's just going to be probably very, very good going forward. 10-7 in his debut, so serviceable. He's probably going to rack up some hits. He's got power. I have no problem with him going forward if you want to have some 2K catcher, but nobody on this team is a priority. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah, I think I am getting to virtually zero organically of Baltimore. If I want to get there, I would have to force them into my lineups. I don't know how much interest I really have in forcing in full Baltimore stacks, maybe as secondary stacks. I mean, I can, again, obviously you can always see the merit to it when a pitcher is as chalky as Cole is. But it's just so hard. They project so terribly that you really have to force them in. I'm getting to zero Baltimore batters in any of my lineups currently. In 500 lineups, I have 0 shares of any Baltimore batters. That is how poorly they project naturally. So you will need to force them in if you want to. And the merit to it is they are coming in at 0.7% owned with a 6.3% chance of being the top value stack on the board, 1.4% chance of being the top stack on the board. So if I have time, I might try to force in 2 or 3% Baltimore. There's a good chance that I will force in 2 or 3% Baltimore just because, as you mentioned, we have seen Garrett Cole blow up in the past. Baltimore just saw him in his last start. So, they've seen him recently. There's merit to getting to Baltimore, but you will really have to force them in there because, just based on projections, they're not even getting into my lineups as one-offs or as my secondary stacks.
Yeah, Rutschman, hey, he's 2K. What do you want me to say? Plus, yes, somebody referred to it earlier, top batters tool. We are in beta mode with that puppy. Sean Zahn's been doing an incredible job of putting that together. He was asking us the other day if we had any other input for things that could get put into the table. And I was like, man, this looks perfect. I love going position by position. I have a spreadsheet that I usually do top 9, and then I'll kind of break it down and I'll kind of plant them in a different spreadsheet. But this is just so much cleaner, so much easier. And it's Awesemo tools and content with some of the best players in the industry, putting their data to work for you. So head to the top batters tool if you have Awesemo Plus, which we're going to give you some options to be able to make that happen. So top batters tool, go check it out. Super, super cool. And he's got just like 7.1%, 7.16% chance of hitting a home run there in this spot, but he's 2K. There's ways that 7, 10, 5 fantasy points work out for you. It's 2K. On the other side of this one, though, you're probably not playing Garrett Cole, though, if you're rostering him. That's the downside. So 2K, it's going to work for you, but you're basically playing Wheeler in that scenario. How do you feel about the Yankees here compared to the Dodgers, where there's a significantly less top stack percentage, but it feels like on FanDuel, I just want to play the top four. I have to find some interest in Kleiner Falefa or some of the other guys. Is there a way that you're stacking up the Yankees to get different?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I think I'm going to be under the field overall on Yankees bats. The hard thing is that, the reason that people are, it's hard to get different with bats that you feel comfortable with, I guess is what it comes down to. Is I don't love the bottom of the Yankees order today. So my approach is going to be, I'm definitely going to be underweight on Yankees stacks. They're coming in at 8.6% owned with a 6.6% chance of being the top stack, 3.6% chance of being the top value stack. I'm probably going to be spreading out more elsewhere and coming in under the field on the Yankees. As far as, let me take a look if there's anybody that I'm going to try to get to on the bottom of the order. I mean, obviously Jose Torino you can get to as a catcher against, the matchup with Jordan Lyles isn't the worst, I guess. So there's that reason to get to some of these bats at the bottom of the order. Aaron Hicks only 3,000 in the sixth spot. Yeah. I have some interest there. He's coming in only 4.4% projected ownership. I'm currently coming in a little bit under the field on Aaron Hicks, so he doesn't project that well, but I think there's merit to go in there for sure at only 3,000. Florial, I'm actually getting to a good amount currently.
That's the guy. Yeah. I was going to say the main guy to kind of pinpoint, Estevan Florial. I think he's doing all right. Over the course of AAA this season, 273, 358, 438 slash line with 4 homers and 11 steals. So there's some steal potential there at 7th. Against Jordan Lyles, I mean, it's kind of a moot point, pretty flat in terms of steal ability against him, but it's a righty on the mound, so it's better off for you. Right off the bat, Florial got speed, might have a little bit of power here. I really like him at 2K if I'm trying to put together those Dodger stacks. I'm surprised he's only at 7.8%. I feel like I can really use that 2K, even as a one-off in that kind of scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting to him more than any other Yankee other than Aaron Judge currently, which means that I'm getting to him a lot as a one-off. I'm getting to him in my secondary Yankee stacks. He's one of the first coming in, and I'm getting there as a one-off. So yeah, the 2,000 price tag is really nice.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Aaron Judge one-off. I was about to be upset with you. Don't do that.
Oh no, I mean, I'm probably getting to some Aaron Judge one-offs too.
You have to be if he's your highest owned Yankee.
Yeah, but Estevan Florial, the price is right, and the 8% ownership is reasonable on a 10-game slate. I mean, it's not super low owned, but it's not like he's getting to 20% where I want to steer away. So, yeah, I'm totally happy to get to some Florial, and then yeah, as I said, Aaron Judge, even at 6,200, he just projects I think he's the second highest projected bat on the slate after Byron Buxton. So yeah, naturally he's going to make it in as a one-off in some of my lineups.
Yeah, I hate the Aaron Judge one-off generally on FanDuel because he's going to be 30% owned. We have him for 23.4 right now, and I guarantee you at 4,400 he even ends up more. But I am curious because he was around 23% this morning on DK. He's down to 17.8%. So he's starting to fall into that land where it's all right to maybe take some one-off shots. I have a lot of Rizzo leading off here today. I think that that's a really enticing spot to go at first, 5,100. He's my highest owned one-off from the Yankees. He's my highest owned Yankees batter, not named Estevan Florial. But as far as stacks go, I think I'm with you. It's just really hard for me to look at the rest of this team and feel confident that I'm getting anything serviceable outside of a little bit of Hicks, but I mean, I definitely 5 through 9 don't feel comfortable about it.
Yeah, I don't love it, but yeah, Florial makes it a little bit interesting, and Hicks makes it a little bit interesting. So I can see the merit to playing some Yankees stacks, but they are just coming in over-owned as a stack as a whole. So it's hard for me to get to a lot of full 5-man Yankee stacks or 4-man Yankee stacks, just knowing that I'm going to be holding hands with so much of the field if it goes off. But yeah, as one-offs or as secondary stacks, I think they do make some sense. And even the guys at the bottom of the order, I mean, the price is right. The price matches their abilities and their projections. So I'm totally fine with getting to basically anybody in the Yankees lineup looks decent to me.
Westport, 24 minutes in. Yes, we will have plenty of time to cover the last 8. There are some spots that we'll be able to run off, some spots that we'll be able to fly, but mainly, if you have Awesemo Plus tools and content, you're going to be just fine and taken care of here as we go all the way up to, what time are we off? 6:25 p.m. Eastern time before we turn it over to the Deeper Dive crew, Greg and Adam on that at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, 7:33 p.m. Eastern time. We've got Lofty and Josh, always the fun Monday crew. You're going to want to check that out. Going to be fun to check out this game 4 we have there in Boston. Gigantic, possibly career shifting game for Jason Tatum. That might be putting a little much on it, but it's going to be fun. If you want all the tools and content that can help take care of you in the MLB streets, use promo code MLB Live, $18.95 if you want to just check out Awesemo Plus MLB package. But MLB Live gets you 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That is a great deal. That is everything that I just referred to in the top pitchers tool and the top stacks tool, the beta top batters tool that is just so cool. I can't believe how awesome that is to kind of add to the mix into shows here going forward. I really find it to be fascinating, and I'm continuing to start to incorporate that into my analysis. I think you'll love it too. Help you make good decisions, whether you're hand building, whether you're in Fantasy Cruncher. Use promo code MLB Live. Help yourself out. Help me help you by getting 50% off of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Stop guessing, start winning. Join us here at Awesemo today. Next game, third on the board. We'll get moving. No issue. Philadelphia minus 133 at Atlanta. 8.5 runs here in this one. Zach Wheeler. I think it's a little disingenuous to call him a pivot off of Garrett Cole, because it seems like the field's going to have a lot of both of them in certain lineups. Now, there's certain teams like Kansas City that you're not going to play with Cole and Wheeler lineups. There's certain combos, even going down to the bottom end of like, a Luis Garcia, 21%. You got to at least think about how you're putting together certain stacks. But Zach Wheeler really stands out as the guy that if I want to go heavier on a pitcher, I'm going to go to more Zach Wheeler than Garrett Cole. How do you feel about Wheeler against a Braves lineup that I thought would be more dangerous than what it looks like today?
Yeah, so I mean, the Braves strike out a good amount, so that's something that I love to see in the Braves lineup. Definitely gives Wheeler a little bit more upside. He is coming in a little bit over-owned currently in the top pitchers tool, coming in at 32% owned with a 21.1% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. So I'm actually going to be coming in a little bit under the field on Wheeler, but I set my cap at 30% on every pitcher other than Garrett Cole and Marco Gonzalez. I'm getting to 30% Zach Wheeler. That makes sense to me. It's a dangerous matchup against the Braves. He could definitely get rocked here, but he also has all the upside in the world against the Braves. They strike out, I think, the second most of any team in baseball. I'm not sure if that's correct, but close to that at least. They're up there in terms of strikeouts. So it's a really nice spot for Zach Wheeler against the Braves. I'm spreading out my ownership on pitchers, and 30% Zach Wheeler is a number that I'm definitely comfortable with here. 25.9% strikeout rate, 2.99 expected ERA, 1.14 WHIP. I've got Atlanta strikes out second most in the league against righties, that is. So plenty of reason to get to Wheeler here. It's just also a dangerous matchup against Atlanta.
Something named Tucker Davidson is on the mound here, making his third appearance here in the majors. The first one didn't go so well. That was on the 11th of April, actually. Negative 4.8. on DK.com, 17.7 last time out against Milwaukee. That was last week. One more turn of the rotation. We'll see kind of what ends up happening here with him. But in AAA this season, 4.44 ERA, 1.10 WHIP is decent enough. 34 to 9 K per walk. It was that 26 and a third that he got out of that in AAA here this season. Just doesn't look like much of anything. I think this is going to be a Philly spot for me. No Tucker for you, right?
Correct.
Cool. Finally. Yes. Leverage be damned. Well, no,
leverage be damned.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just being sarcastic. I just don't want to roster this guy.
You got to pick your spots. You got to pick your spots sometimes. And this is just, I don't think that he has enough upside given how little he's pitched in the majors that I'm not going to be taking shots on Tucker Davidson.
Well, let's take some shots on Phillies bats because they look pretty darn good today. Atlanta, it's been a hot box of late, and now it's a little bit cooler, 72 degrees. But wind's blowing out a little bit, just slightly out to left field here today. I think I can get some Phillies bats. I think we can definitely play some Rhys Hoskins. I mean, him and Rizzo, such an interesting thing for me. I like both of them quite a bit leading off for their respective baseball teams, or for their respective baseball teams, excuse me. 7% for him. That's too low. What else sticks out to you from Philly?
Yeah, so I mean, they're coming in fairly high owned. Philly is overall, the stack is coming in at 9.3% owned with an 8.1% chance of being the top stack. So I imagine I'm going to be coming in under the field on Phillies as my full stack. Generally, I'm going to be wanting to play the righties here. Although that's just based on Tucker. I don't actually know how deep into the game Tucker Davidson is going to pitch. So I think I'm actually going to be just as comfortable playing some of the lefties if they're going to be coming in at not much ownership. I mean, Bryce Harper coming in at 7.1% owned. that might actually be about right for his 6,300 price tag, and he's only projected for 9.085 fantasy points, which is lower than several other batters on the board. So I guess I can see why I'm not getting to a ton and the field is not getting to a ton, but I can see some merit to actually giving him a little bit of a boost, just thinking, Bryce Harper can do it against anybody, and I'm not really sure how deep into the game Tucker Davidson is going to get. And at some point after Tucker Davidson leaves, Bryce Harper, might end up against some righties. So happy to get there. But yeah, Rhys Hoskins looks good. Nick Castellanos looks good. Gene Segura looks okay, doesn't project quite as well. JT Realmuto, 4,100, obviously one of the best hitting catchers in the game in the 7-hole. I'm happy to get to some Realmuto. I'm coming in just a little bit under the field. The field's getting into 10%, but I think he's a perfectly reasonable place to go. I'm currently not getting to any Kyle Schwarber. Maybe I'll force in just a little bit. I think the field might be afraid of that lefty-lefty matchup, but again, I'm not sure how deep into the game Davidson is going to go.
Which batter do you believe leads the Atlanta Braves so far this season in expected slugging percentage?
In expected slugging percentage.
And not only that, they lead by over 300 points.
Is it not Acuna?
It is not Acuna. Rhymes
Ozuna?
with nope. Rhymes with Schmillium Schmishmaris.
Really?
Yeah. Look at this. Look at this shit.
Damn.
William Contreras, 867 expected slugging here, 54.2% hard hit percentage. Matt Olson against a righty is in the 5-hole today in order to have William Contreras move up to the top here. Just 24 batted balls in play out of the 160 pitches he's seen so far, though. 25% barrel percentage for William Contreras. He is a contrarian catcher option. You have to roster one, on DraftKings. He's 5,200. It's absurd. Travis d'Arnaud, 5,500. It's absurd. You should be getting a discount when you face Wheeler, but absolutely nobody's going to click on him. So I might have a couple shares of him just for the shits and giggles. There's nothing to prioritize from Atlanta, though, for me. Anything stick out for you?
No, I'm not getting to a ton of Atlanta bats. You could play some Acuna always. He's obviously one of the best hitters in baseball. He projects plenty well, even against Wheeler. I'm not getting to a ton of Atlanta lineups.
Yeah, you could do the double catch over on FanDuel.com. DraftKings, that would be cheating, and you probably wouldn't want to do it anyway. So there you are. We move ourselves along to we move ourselves along. Next game. Anything else for you from this one? I mean, Atlanta was a quick write-off. I just thought it was a fun talking point.
Yeah, I mean, they look good in the top stack still. So if you want to play some Atlanta, if you're playing 150 lineups, have at it. I might have a few Atlanta lineups, but it's just not one of the places I'm going to go if I have 5 or 10 lineups. It's so unlikely. They have a 3.4% chance to be in the top stack, even at 0.7% ownership. It's a little bit thin for me if I'm playing 10 lineups. If you're playing 50 plus, have some Atlanta in there just because they're always a high upside stack. I mean, don't kid yourself. Even against Zach Wheeler, he started the year not that great. He could always regress a little bit. So there is some merit to going to Atlanta stacks. I don't think I'm going to have a ton just because I think there are other spots I can target.
All right, we go to Detroit taking on and yes, I say our Minnesota Twins because I'm possessive like that. We've got Detroit. Yes, we have the other Erod. Elvin Rodriguez is going to be on the mound earlier today. That was not the case. It looked like it was going to be Bo Brisky, go Tigers. It was going to be him, and then it wasn't. Go Joe, a little bit of that. But now we're looking at Elvin Rodriguez down there at the absolute floor, 4K on DraftKings.com. Do not play this cat on FanDuel. But I'm trying to talk myself into Elvin Rodriguez at the flat out 4K. I don't know really how far he's going to go. He's got 46 pitches in him right now, but we're talking about if he can get to 60, 65, maybe there's a chance that we can get something out of him there in AAA, 3.57 ERA, 1.44 whip. Not really a strikeout guy whatsoever, but he's 4K. I was thinking about it. I'm just talking myself into no at this point in time. We're not going to do anything with him, are we?
I'm currently getting to 0 shares. There is merit to forcing him in if you want to. If you're hand building, you have 4,000 left over. He's the guy you play. He's obviously the guy. He's the only guy that you can play among the starters.
Or you play a closer, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard or said in my life.
You don't get points for a save anymore, so there's no real reason to get it. Here's the reason to play Elvin Rodriguez. 0.5% projected ownership. 26.1% chance of being a top 2 value on the slate. So there is merit to that. He's 4,000. He's the only viable 4,000 pitcher we have, which means that he could put up 8 fantasy points. And if, the bats that you can get because you have him and no other pitcher, if they do well, he's allowing you to get to upside in your lineup that no other pitcher allows you to get to. So there is merit to getting to Elvin Rodriguez just based on his projection. I'm not getting to any Elvin Rodriguez. I might try to force in just a little bit and hope that he can get to 12 fantasy points, and that's enough, and he allows me to get to stacks that nobody else can get to. But it's a fairly thin play. He's not going to put up 20 fantasy points. I think it's safe to say he's not going to put up 20 fantasy points.
All right, going to Christopher Archer on the other side here, 7,400 for our good friend Christopher here in the early going. Decent enough spot. I feel like going up against this Detroit Tigers team, against righties on the season, 71 WRC plus worse in baseball. They are horrendous in that department. But does Chris Archer have enough at 7,400 to be viable for you on DraftKings today?
I'm going to play some Chris Archer. He is only 7,400, as you said, with a 20.7% strikeout rate on the year. That's decent for a 7,400 pitcher going up against the Tigers, especially. The only thing I'm concerned about is I'm not sure what his upside is in terms of innings pitched. I mean, what do you think his absolute max would be, like 6 maybe? Do you think he has upside for more than that?
Doesn't feel like it.
He hasn't got more than 4.1 innings in any game. But yeah, if he's rolling, I imagine they're going to at least let him get to 5 or 6. So I think there is upside there, and I think that I will be playing some Chris Archer, but he is a little bit overowned currently in the top pitchers tool. He is coming in at 9.6% projected ownership, 8.5% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 8.3% chance of being a top 2 value. So he's not screaming great play to me, but I think there is some merit there just because the matchup is right. The 20% strikeout rate is decent, and he's 7,400. So there's a little bit of merit there, but it's not a really strong, confident play.
Yeah, I have 2%. I'm not going to get crazy with it. I want to because it's Detroit. It's Chris Archer, who's one of the cheaper pitchers on the board. I can't really do it, and that's a bummer. I don't really have any interest in Detroit on the other side. Do you?
I think that I do have a little bit of interest in Detroit. I might have to force them in a little bit.
How the turntables. I mean,
just 1.7% projected ownership for Detroit stacks going up against Chris Archer, who has not been that great this year. 3% chance of being the top stack on the board and 6.5% chance of being the top value stack on the board. Now I guess that matters a little bit less, the top value odds, given that we only have one pitcher that we really want to pay up for. I guess we have two. Maybe they'll allow you to get to some Cole Wheeler lineups, pay up a little bit. So yeah, there's merit to it just being 6.5% chance top value, 1.7% ownership, and you're not afraid of the matchup. So it's a little bit different than playing Baltimore against Garrett Cole, just because you're not afraid of the matchup. And even though Detroit isn't good, the matchup is a solid matchup for them. So I do have some interest in Detroit here. I think I'm going to force myself to be above the field there.
All right. Well. Did we just get a Castro with a fire emoji? That is not the appropriate emoji for a guy with 1 home run for the season so far. That's not what you should be putting into chat.
If you want to play Castro, go ahead.
What are we doing here? 23 games, 1 home run. Tell me how we should be. I can't even. Jordan Klein coming in and spamming my face all over the place. It's nice to know that he loves me. I'll make sure to go 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes late before you start basketball, right? Right? No? Okay, we won't do that. Toronto, St. Louis. Well, no, we got to talk our Minnesota Twins, which it sucks. It sucks. It's not fair because they always end up with negative leverage. Neil, have you noticed that our Minnesota Twins always have negative leverage and we never get to roster them the way that we want to? Yeah, I'll have a little bit of Buxton, but I'll probably be under the field as a one-off. Yeah, I'll have some Correa, but I'll probably be underneath the field. We don't even get Sanchez in the lineup today. Urshela has been demoted to 8th finally. Max Kepler, probably the one guy that I'm going to get to a little bit, but even he's popular. God, what do we do with the Twins today? Because it's a bummer.
Yeah, I hate the negative leverage. They used to be a team that you could just play all the time. Like nobody was playing the Twins. Now all of a sudden with Buxton, people want to go there apparently. It's pretty lame. I agree with you. It's lame. Quit playing the Twins, guys. We want to play. Leave them for Twins fans, please. But I am actually getting to a good amount of Buxton as a one-off. I probably shouldn't be. He's coming in
Nope.
at 22%
It's the
owned.
same thing with Aaron Judge.
Yeah, he's just coming in so high owned that it's a little bit scary. I'm getting too close to the field though with Byron Buxton currently. He's just he is the top projected bat on the day. So Byron Buxton, if you're playing really small field, if you're playing cash, Byron Buxton makes a lot of sense. He's not the highest salary player on the day, but he is the highest projection. So plenty of reason to love Byron Buxton here. The only reason not to love him is he's projected for 22% ownership on a slate with 10 games on it. So that's pretty hefty ownership for a slate this size. Carlos Correa looks pretty good. I'm getting well under the field though. Everybody's just so high owned on the Twins, other than Trevor Larnach. And he doesn't project that well. He projects worse than anybody. So it is really hard to really want to play a ton of the Twins here. I'm going to be coming in under the field on Twin stacks as much as it pains me to do so. They're coming in overowned.
Yep, it's a bummer. Luis Arraez, though, can he win the batting championship this season? 327? Why not? That's about all he's good for. He'll go 3 for 5 for you today. I'll still have him in stacks, even though I generally don't. Just hits a ball a lot and gets it in play. He's that guy. You're that guy, pal. You're that guy. Next game on the board here, Cleveland Guardians, 3.5 going up against the Houston Astros, 5.0. Tristan McKenzie on the mound for I almost said it. The Guardians. The Guardians is who they are. That's their team name. I'm looking at them, and I'm looking at him as a pretty good pitcher so far this season, and he's always had strikeout stuff. He's sitting at 24.1% this season. It's actually down a little bit. I mean, we've seen some massive upside spots from him before. They still don't have a pitcher listed on Savant. I don't know why that's the case. So just heads up on that one. But I'm pretty sure it's Tristan McKenzie from what I understand.
They announced that right before the show. They came out and said he was starting.
God, they just don't have it even on like the MLB site. But, whatever. On DraftKings, I knew that he was going to be going. So how do you feel about Tristan McKenzie against a Houston team that does not like to miss bats?
Yeah, it's a really tough matchup for Tristan McKenzie, but he's got some upside. Coming in at 1.7% ownership with a 7.9% chance of being a top 2 pitcher on the slate, 6.5% chance of being a top 2 value on the slate. There's definitely merit to playing him. I am not getting to a ton. It looks like he might be a pitcher that I try to boost a little bit to kind of force myself to get a little bit there, but the matchup does scare me. I really don't love the matchup. I'm going to be playing the other side of it plenty. So yeah, maybe I'm just going to allow myself to be under the field on Tristan McKenzie today. It's a tough. They don't strike out a lot. They're obviously a dangerous team, so I'm probably not going to be getting to a ton.
I mean, this Houston Astros team is a machine, and I was talking with Terry a little bit today, and he brought up some good points as far as, well, you got to look at them relative because they're 5th in baseball in their current iteration in the split up against the righties, striking out sub 20% still, but there's other teams below them that have found ways to just eliminate strikeouts from their repertoire. So even though in years past, Houston's been by far the best team at avoiding strikeouts, they're still really good. And then you look at how it's constructed today, 7, 8, 9, Pena, Siri, Maldonado. They're the only 3 batters in this lineup that have a strikeout percentage above 18.7%. That is so stupid. I can't even put words on it. So Pena, Siri, Maldonado, as effective as they are, it's the guy the starting pitcher is going to be facing the least. So you get Brantley, who is 11.5%. That's just elite in terms of avoiding strikeouts in the year of our Lord 2022. Alex Bregman, Gurriel, Altuve, Alvarez, Tucker, all those guys just avoid strikeouts. Give me the Houston side of it. I'm with you. Are there some bats you want to pick and choose from the Houston side? Because it looks like a full go for me.
Yeah, I'm going to be full stacking Houston. They're going to be one of my favorite stacks on the day.
Same.
If I'm only making a single entry lineup, Houston is one of the teams that I would certainly consider. They just look really good in the top stacks tool. And I don't get a lot of them naturally. So just based on a crunch where I'm kind of going even, spreading out my stack ownership, I'm not getting to a ton of Houston, which means that I'm going to have to force them to get more, which I like it when that's the case, because that means that a lot of people who are not making these adjustments are not going to get to them using optimizers, but they're coming in at 6.2% owned on Houston stacks with a 7.4% chance of being the top stack. They do only have a 1.8% chance of being the top value stack on the day. So they're just expensive. But again, I don't really care about that when it comes to the top teams on the board. I'm more concerned with just their overall top stack odds. I really like Jose Altuve. Obviously he always looks pretty great. So I'll be playing some Altuve. Kyle Tucker, I have a lot of interest in. Jordan Alvarez, Alec Brown. I mean, who do you not like in the top 6 for Houston? I kind of like all of them, and then I'll mix in the bottom of the order as well. So yeah, Houston is one of my favorite stacks on the day. Stack them every which way. I think they make a lot of sense.
I'm gonna have a ton of them. I'm just gonna have an absolute ton of them. You can play them 1 through 9. Maldonado is always my least enticing guy, especially on a slate like today. I think catcher's better than it normally is. It's starting to become a position that's not completely filth. I mean, you have a 2K bottom of the end guy that is still going to be underpriced on a lot of slates going forward. Today's the worst spot ever for him, Garrett Cole. But I mean, Varsho's starting to show some power and some ability at the big league level, even though he's going to be really popular sitting up there. Leadoff going up against Zach Greinke. We've got a number of guys. This MJ Melendez. Whenever I see his name, it makes me think Sweet Melissa. Yes, baby.
That's great. Yeah, sure.
That was just for you, baby.
I don't even know what you're referencing, but it was beautiful.
Allman Brothers. Are you kidding me? You don't know Melissa by the Allman Brothers? Oh, sorry. Get off my lawn.
You need Terry. You need Terry. So
I did.
Where from Minnesota? Terry knows references.
There it is. See, these are the compromises I must make. But you know what? You're each good for what I need you for. Cleveland Guardians on the other side. I'll have some Jose Ramirez. I'm really not going to get to anything else from this lineup up against Luis Garcia, who I find to be perhaps the best pitcher to get to on today's slate in terms of where he's currently owned and how much I like him. The strikeout stuff is there. Cleveland, yeah, it's a tough matchup in order to rack up a lot of strikeouts, but you get the Franmil Reyes gimme in that lineup. Luke Male sitting at 25%. It's not great, but I just think he's a really good pitcher, and this lineup does not scare me. What sticks out to you from the Guardians to round it out?
Yeah, so I really like Luis Garcia. I agree with you there. I'm going to be coming in over the field. I think on Luis Garcia, he has slight negative leverage in the top pitchers tool, but he's one of the guys that I'm going to be coming in close to or maybe over the field there. As far as the Guardians go, they are currently coming in with 2.6% projected ownership with a 4% chance of being the top stack on the board. Definitely some interest in Guardian stacks. I'll try to get, maybe 5 or 6% Guardian stacks. I don't like them as much as Houston on the other side, but I still have some interest in Guardian stacks for sure. Definitely one of the better leverage spots on the board, just not getting to a ton of ownership. I assume Jose Ramirez is playing. I'm going to play some Jose Ramirez. Anytime Jose Ramirez is playing, I'm probably going to be getting to some. He's coming at 8.7% projected ownership. I'm getting above that currently, and that's without trying to force anything in. He projects the best of anybody on the team by 2 full fantasy points. So plenty of interest there. And then everybody else is going to be just kind of spread apart. I mean, Franmil Reyes obviously always has tons of upside in the 6th spot, coming in at 1.3% ownership. So that gives me some interest, that low ownership on Franmil Reyes. I'm going to be well over the field there. Miles Straw also coming in at 1.5% projected ownership in the leadoff spot at 3,500. Definitely some interest there. But overall, I'm going to be definitely getting to some Cleveland stacks, and then probably a few, one-offs or secondary stacks as well. And obviously Jose Ramirez will be my largest share in terms of one-offs.
All right, we got to back it up because I skipped a game. Toronto Blue Jays 3.7 at St. Louis Cardinals 3.8. He was never my boy. I never liked him. Jose Berrios, I never liked him. I never believed in him. It's weird because maybe that's just the Minnesota sports fan pessimist in me or something like that, where it's like, oh, that field goal is going to miss at the end of the game. It's like Jose Berrios. Oh, I know you're not going to be able to win a big game for us against the Yankees. That's kind of the way that I always felt about him. And now it's showing up constantly in the box score, 15.3% K percentage. That's not good. 6.86 expected ERA. That's really not good. And a 1.49 whip. I have no interest whatsoever in rostering Jose Berrios against the St. Louis lineup. That looks really saucy to me. How about you?
Yeah, it doesn't look like I'm going to be getting too much, if any, Jose Berrios. He looks good in the top pitchers tool. Looks decent, I should say. 2.7% projected ownership, 8.1% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 4.5% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. He's 8,500. He has had upside in the past, but he just hasn't really been showing it this year in a tough matchup against St. Louis. I'm not going to force him in, so I'm probably not going to get to any.
All right, let's talk on the other side of this one. Miles Mikolas. There you are. I'm looking at him as just a guy that if you want to try to get really, really different, he's been a serviceable pitcher, 2.76 expected ERA, 0.99 whip, but only an 18.7% K percentage. You're really paying the freight for a guy without much strikeout upside Is it a decent enough spot going up against the Blue Jays that, yes, top of the order can be devastating from time to time, but even a guy like Vlad Guerrero, I believe it's May 7th is the last time, or May 5th since he's hit a home run. Terry said it this morning and it caught me by surprise. Yeah, there's some potency, but there's definitely strikeouts in the back half. Bradley Zimmer in the lineup today. Good Lord, 42.2% K percentage on this season. He barely gets in the lineup because he's not very good. But is Miles Michaelis going to be in play for you today?
Yeah, I'm going to be above the field, which it doesn't take much to get over the field on Miles Michaelis. He only has an 18.7% strikeout rate. Don't love that. 2.76 expected ERA is elite though. 0.99 WHIP, that's elite. And just based on the top pitchers tool, 2.2% projected ownership. That's a number that I have to get above with a 12.5% chance of being one of the top 2 pitchers on the board. So just one of the highest odds on the slate of being a top 2 pitcher, and he's coming in at 2.2% ownership. So I'm definitely coming in over that 2.2% number. I'm not going to go overboard because I love Toronto on the other side, and it's obviously a scary matchup for Miles Michaelis, and he doesn't have the strikeout upside. You really need him to go deep into the game if he is going to be putting up elite the kind of numbers you need at 9,600. So I don't love Miles Michaelis. The only thing I love about him is that projected ownership and the relative likelihood of being a top 2 pitcher. So I'll be coming in above that 2.2% number, but I'm not going to be going. I'm probably going to be south of 10%.
Toronto, you can always stack up Toronto if you want to. I don't really have anything to add to them. They can always be somewhat viable. St. Louis, again, another spot that had been very, very hot of late. Now it's down to 68 degrees with the wind blowing in. I just don't want to go nuts with them. But yes, they've got a good offense. Would it surprise me if they hung a number on somebody? No, but not my favorite spot. How about you?
They're both teams are in similar spots to me, which I do like both of these spots. So I think
they're
that I have
not
in
similar spots for me.
Similar spots in terms of so Toronto is the better team. They're also facing the better pitcher. St. Louis is a watered down version of that. They are the worst team facing the worst pitcher. They're in similar spots in that they're both coming in under owned, I guess. Yeah, you're right. Michaelis is better than Jose Barrios, but St. Louis coming in at 1.7% projected ownership with a 3.1% chance of being the top stack on the board. So definitely interest in St. Louis stacks. And then Toronto, I always have interest in Toronto, and they're going to be low owned. And they're really low on 1.4% for a Toronto stack. They should never be that low owned. They just always have immense upside. And Miles Michaelis has had a great year, but I'm not afraid of him when they're coming in at 1.4% ownership. So Toronto is actually one of my favorite spots on the board. I'm going to try and come in well above the field here. They have a 3.8% chance of being the top stack on the board. I'm going to be forcing in some Toronto stacks. I'm
going to be way over on St. Louis. I thought that their ownership would come up from when we did the show this morning till now. They're still only 2.2%, 1.5% ownership share. Here's my thing. You add these lefties, you add Gorman, the 2K second baseman there. That's going to be popular as a one-off, but still not enough for me to get away from playing tons of him. Brendan Donovan now, second base shortstop eligible at 3,500. Another lefty with some decent ability. Yepez has been awesome at the big league level so far. We'll see if it continues. And then, of course, there's these guys. I don't know if you've heard of them. Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado. I think Jose Barrios gets destroyed today. That's what I'm betting on. Are you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. And I am naturally getting to a ton of Nolan Gorman. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised he's only coming in at 7.2% projected ownership when he's the bare minimum in the number 2 spot in this matchup. Mm-hmm. And he's, also one of the top prospects in baseball. So plenty of reason to get to Nolan Gorman. I'm going to be getting there. And everybody else makes some sense of going up against Jose Barrios. I don't hate Jose Barrios with a passion like you do. So I think that you might be a little bit biased because of how much you hate Jose Barrios.
Hate him.
You just want to attack him all the time.
I do.
I think that he's a decent major league pitcher. So it's not a great spot for St. Louis, but they're just coming in under owned. So I'm happy to get to some St. Louis bets as well.
Just fucking hate that guy. He's so overrated. Anyway, hey, everybody. MLB Odd Shopper. Yes. Odd Shopper is not overrated. Oddshopper.com. Go get the best MLB bets on the board today. I'm looking at you, Chris Archer. I'm going to take the under 4.5, 65% expected win percentage. That's a fantastic number to get over on a site like Prize Picks. I don't have legalized sports betting in my state in California, but if you do in your state, yay you, first of all. Second of all, we have the best tools and content in the industry to help you make money. That Chris Archer strikeout prop, 29% expected ROI for sportsbook purposes, Minus 102. Is Detroit horrendous against righties? Sure are. But guess what? I still think that looks great. Check out oddshopper.com throughout the day. It looks like Max Kepler, total home runs, 21% expected ROI, plus 500 there on the over of a home run for him. Hit that one as well. Go Twins. Let's go. Both of those look fantastic to me. Add NBA bets, NHL bets, golf bets into the mix. Oddshopper.com is the best place you can go. Go check it out. And thank you so much to all the guys behind the scenes here at Awesemo for putting the best tools and content to work over at OddShopper day in and day out to help you make money for free. And free 99 is the best 99. Head to OddShopper right now and go find out why. Let's do it. We got to play a game called 4 Games, 13 Minutes. I think you're ready for it, though.
Let's do it.
I think you're up to it. Kansas City Royals, 4.2 implied runs. Arizona Diamondbacks, 4.3. I am a sick person who has Zach Greinke in his pool today. I thought I was going to get more of him than I did. And so I've at least tempered expectations, but I don't want to play this Marco Gonzalez character at his current ownership. I get why he's projecting out a certain way, but if we're just talking a raw projection, even at Awesemo, he's only 3.2 away from Marco Gonzalez. I get the strikeout concerns. He has a sub 10% K percentage, but against Arizona, anything is possible. Dreams can happen. How do you feel about Zach Greinke on today's slate for DraftKings purposes only?
Yeah, so I'm coming in with about 5-6% Zach Greinke currently. I'm not going to be forcing him into my lineups. I think that he is a fine play at 4,800. He is coming in at 11.8% ownership. Don't love that. So I'm going to be under the field on Zach Greinke, even though I'm also undercutting the field on Marco Gonzalez. I guess I'm spreading it out elsewhere. He's coming in with a 6.2% chance of being the top 2 pitcher on the board, but a 26.7% chance of being a top 2 value. So kind of he has leverage in terms of his top value odds, but he is Zach Greinke. I'm not going to be going overboard. I'm getting to 6%, and I'm totally happy with that number currently. He just doesn't have that much upside. The upside is just in maybe he's the best pitcher under 5,000.
And Zach Davies is a bad person. He's a very bad person. I'll send you why, but yes, he just ghosted his wife. Yeah. That's a normal thing that a normal person does, even if you're not in love with her. You don't ghost your wife. That's an absurd thing. But here we are looking at him as a guy that I want to target against. Don't really want to roster. He's 6K. I guess I have 1% of him. Congratulations, me. Zach Davies, any kind of a standout for you against a Kansas City team that's very popular?
Yeah, I'm not getting to any Zach Davies currently.
Cool. Well, let's talk Kansas City. I know, negative leverage. I mean, we want to talk about the Twins, Dodgers. It is Kansas City right up there with them. 13.1% ownership share. A little bit lower than this morning, but still a lot. They have a top value number that's second on the board, tied with Baltimore. And Baltimore, that's pretty woof. Kansas City's not a team I want to get to almost at all at their current ownership. How about you?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into a ton of Kansas City. You named it. 13.8% projected ownership, 7.2% chance of being the top stack on the board, 10.2% chance of being the top value stack on the board. That's better. That's still negative leverage. So there's just so many other spots that I prefer that I don't see myself getting to a ton of Kansas City primary stacks. Maybe I'll get to some as my secondary stack or as one-offs just because the value is there, but certainly not trying to get to a ton of Kansas City. Arizona looks better. You said that you like Zach Greinke. Well, I also love targeting Zach Greinke.
I do too.
Arizona coming in at 3.5% projected ownership with a 5.4% chance of being the top stack on the board, 5.8% chance of being the top value stack on the board. Hard not to love Arizona going up against Greinke at 3.5% ownership on the stack.
Yep. Varsho, the only guy getting any kind of nominal ownership, but you get Christian Walker. Do people know how well Christian Walker is hitting in the year of 2022? I already said the year of our Lord. I don't want to go back to my same bit.
Yeah, I mean, Christian Walker looks great. Only 4,700 in the cleanup spot. Only coming in at 2.9% projected ownership. That's crazy low for Christian Walker. So yeah, sign me up for some Christian Walker and sign me up for some full stacks. Dalton Varsho, only coming at really 11.3% ownership is not that high for a guy like Dalton Varsho leading off as a catcher. That's can't do much better than that.
Yeah, Christian Walker, 620 expected slugging here, just a 199 average, but an expecting batting average at 276. That's called positive regression is still in store for that 199 average he has, but he's basically doing Joey Gallo things from the right side of the plate. 199 average, just hitting the baseball hard. Oh, and he strikes out way less than Joey Gallo, 21%. So 10 homers on the season. That's going to be nifty going forward. Get you some Christian Walker. Why not? Oakland, Seattle, this game. Oh, woof. Zach Logue on the mound, 18.9% against the Mariners. But really the first talking point is Marco Gonzalez. We have to discuss this. My brain is exploding looking at his ownership. I can't do it. I won't do it. I'm going to be under, I said, I put a cap of 20% on him. If I end up with a little bit, so be it. At least he's not 54% like earlier. But this is so much ownership going towards a guy who's just not very good on the season so far. Just a 14.1% K percentage. I know Oakland's bad, but I have so much interest in Oakland bats. Are you falling more on the Oakland bat side of it or the Marco Gonzalez side of it?
Yeah, totally same page as you. I'm also undercutting the field by a good amount. I capped Marco Gonzalez also at 20%. You could full fade him. It might make some sense. He's just to be getting 42% projected ownership for a pitcher that has so little upside. I get it. He's 5,300. He's facing Oakland. Those are the reasons to like him. That's why people are going there. He's going to project well in this matchup, but the field is just getting to way too much of a guy who, would it shock any of us if he comes out of this game with negative fantasy points? It would not shock me. So you can gain a lot of leverage on the field just by not going to Marco Gonzalez. And that's going to be the approach I take. I'm going to be coming well under the field on Marco Gonzalez. I would not be playing him in a single entry. I probably wouldn't play him in one of my first 5 lineups. In my 150 set, as I said, I'm going to be getting to about 20%. But if you wanted to full fade him, I would not hold that against you. And then, yeah, on the other side of it, Oakland just looks incredible. 3.9% projected ownership. I think that's actually come up a little bit. So they have negative leverage in terms of 3.7% projected ownership, 2.9% chance of being the top stack. So a little bit of negative leverage there, but then 27.8% chance of being the top value stack on the slate. That is just a massive number on a 10-game slate. So yeah, tons of interest in Oakland. And then obviously you add in the fact that they are playing against a pitcher that is projected for 42% ownership. Yeah, I really like Oakland here. So I'm going to be coming in well over the field there.
I have so much of them. They're my highest owned stack. Jed Lowry projected batting third, 2K, flat 2K. Best of luck to me. Oh, confirmed lineup came out. All right. Sheldon News, 2,600 there, batting third. I mean, this team I'm going to roster a crazy amount of times. They are unowned. So I understand they're not good. If you want to take the plunge with me, this is going to work out fewer times than not. But when it does work out, you're going to get paid because you're going to pass all 40% of those Marco Gonzalez lineups too. And it's going to be glorious. Join me at the top of the leaderboard. Seattle on the other side, there's some merits going up against this lefty, Zach Logue, but he came out of the gate hot, kind of regressed a little bit. Zach Logue, any interest there? And then how does Seattle look for you?
Yeah, so Zach Logue coming in at 0.9% projected ownership. 8.9% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 6.2% chance of being a top 2 value. So yeah, I've got no issue if you want to play some Zach Logue. I am getting to 3.4% currently. I'd be happy if that's where I end up. I haven't done my final crunch yet. We'll see. And then Seattle stacks on the other side coming in at 5.8% projected ownership with only a 3.7% chance of being the top stack on the board. I'm not going to be going overboard on my Seattle stacks. I will be undercutting the field when the field's coming in just too high owned here. But yeah, I mean, they're a fine play. I'm not going to fully remove them from my player pool, but yeah, they're coming in too high owned. I'd rather get leverage on places where I have positive leverage.
2 games left. Going to be a quick ones. I think they're going to be quick. I think Alex Cobb, maybe from a pitching perspective, we might need to take a look at a little bit more. But Milwaukee Brewers, San Diego Padres, smash that like button as we finish this out 5 minutes before we turn things over to the NBA Deeper Dive crew. Looking forward to Greg and Adam on that one. You won't have to go anywhere. Just stay here at the Awesemo YouTube channel. But Adrian Hauser, Nick Martinez on the mound. Either of these pitchers look enticing to you?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to be getting to a ton of Adrian Hauser. He's 8,900 and he's coming in at 0.5% projected ownership as a result, with an 8.7% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 3.4% top 2 value. I don't see myself getting to a ton of Adrian Hauser. Let me see what I actually got in my crunch. Yeah, I did not get to 1.4%. So that's about as expected, I would say. Yeah, not a ton of interest there. I might get a little bit. Nick Martinez, Also looking well under owned in the top pitchers tool. He's 8,700, so a little bit cheaper. 1.3% projected ownership, 12.7% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. I have some interest there. I'll take what I'm given, and currently I'm getting to a good amount of Nick Martinez. Given that there is positive leverage, I'm going to allow myself to be above the field there. Do you have some interest in Nick Martinez?
Yeah. I mean, he's got such positive leverage now, and 13.3% top 2 pitcher percentage. That's 4th best on the slate. I didn't think he was going to be that high up in the tools, but I trust them. I think him and Luis Garcia are just guys I'm going to be taking more aggressive stands with, and one's far less popular than the other. So Nick Martinez works out well. I know it's much healthier than you would think. And I mean, Milwaukee on the other side, I think you still have to have a little bit of interest, but nothing crazy there. There's just a lot of power bets to be had. Soldier Boy Telas, that's what we want to get to. Anything that you want from Milwaukee?
Yeah. So I mean, yes, they're coming in at only 2.5% projected ownership. So it's going to be a both sides for me. 4.7% chance of being the top stack. They're just coming in a little bit too low owned for me. So yeah, I'm going to be, playing maybe 6 or 7% Milwaukee. It's not obviously, if I like Nick Martinez, it's not a place where I feel really comfortable getting into a ton of Milwaukee, but I do see myself getting a little bit above the field when I've finished my crunches. As far as sorry, I don't have this right, but yeah, I do have some interest in Milwaukee.
All right, and San Diego on the other side. Manny Machado for me. That's it. Anything for you? Eric Hosmer a little bit. I have 2% of, but that's a joke.
Jake Cronenworth, I'm actually getting a fair amount of. I have some interest there. Manny Machado, yeah. Will Myers, I'm getting a little bit of. I do have some interest in Seattle. I have not crafted my stacks yet, but let's see. Yeah, coming in at 3.4% projected ownership, 3.3% top stack odds. So they're a fairly neutral play according to the top stacks tool. I don't really hate playing San Diego in this matchup against Adrian Hauser. So a little bit of interest there. I think I'm going to be getting to more of them as one-offs and as in secondary stacks.
All right, I'm going to repeat it one more time. Smash the like button for Neil Orfield. This is one of the best players in the industry that's literally giving you all of his tips, all of his analysis, all of his breakdowns, using Awesemo's tools and using his own little brain, putting everything together for you guys. Smash the like button for my guy as we head to the New York Mets. 3.5 implied runs. New York Giants, 4.0 there. Alex Cobb, 28.1% K percentage. Now, everybody else kind of fits into that mold of 8, 9K. Nobody's owning them whatsoever, and there's a reason that nobody owns them. They're not all very good, even though Nick Martinez, Miles Mikolas, I'll get to a little bit of those guys. Michaelis, there it is, correcting myself. But Alex Cobb earlier in the day wasn't very popular. He continues to not be that popular, 12.2%. How do you feel about him as a contrarian pitching option, as a tier down, 7,900? That is too low for Alex Cobb.
Yeah, so he has negative leverage in the top pitchers tool, but I still think that I'm actually going to try to go above the field on Alex Cobb. I just think that he has so much upside for a pitcher at 7,900 with a 28% strikeout rate. This is one of the rare times where I'm going to look at and see negative leverage and say, I still want to get above the field. I just think that he's had a little bit of bad luck this year so far in terms of batting average on balls in play. He has not been going in deep into games as a result. I think that he just has immense upside, even in a tough matchup against the Mets. I'm just going to force myself to be a little bit, when the field is getting to 12.7% of a pitcher who's got a 28% strikeout rate at 7,900. I just think that the upside is so much higher. So yeah, I'm gonna actually boost his projection a bit and try and get above the field on Alex Cobb.
All right. Other side of this one, I don't really see any reason to roster Mr. Peterson there. Do you have any Peterson interest? David Peterson from the Mets?
Yeah, I don't see myself getting there.
Yeah, I thought I might get to a little bit earlier. I'm really just not doing it against San Francisco here in this ball. Well, it's a great ballpark, but I'm saying against this lineup that we expect to just be righty heavy. Anything else from this game in terms of bats? Because I really have nothing other than if you wanted a one-off, Wilmer Flores, be my guest.
Yeah, go ahead. The Mets are coming in fairly low owned, coming in at 1.2% projected ownership with a 4% chance of being the top stack. So yeah, it is a spot where I'm actually going to be both sides in this one as well. I love Alex Cobb in this spot, even though it's a tough matchup. I'm also going to be definitely forcing in some Mets, even though they're facing a tough pitcher in a tough ballpark. They're still just too good of a team to be coming in at 1.2% ownership. So yeah, I do see myself forcing myself to get above the field on the Mets. And then the Giants coming in at 4.3% projected ownership, very neutral play. It is, it's a better matchup going up against David Peterson, same tough ballpark. They're a relatively neutral play. I'll probably 4 or 5%. Not a play I love, not a play I hate.
Well, this was a lot of fun. It's always fun to hang out with my guy, Neil. Fun to hang out with Terry earlier. Both times I got to hang out with Mike Awesemo Lawrence over there behind the virtual glass. Appreciate you, my guy. The fake Phillies fan wearing his fake Phillies hat. Look at him being a fake. It's fine. It's all right. You work for the CIA. I get it. But Neil, we got to get out of here. We got to make work for the NBA show. Any final words for the people on tonight's MLB slate or, the High Stakes podcast? Please plug that for the people.
Yeah, check out the High Stakes podcast this Friday and every Friday. It's a fun show, and let's win some money.
Let's win some money. I like that. That's a good way to get out of here. He's Neil. He has access to Surly beer, and that makes me sad. I'm Eric. Maybe I'll just make it old-fashioned. We'll see you guys later.